everyone, welcome to Watercolor Wednesday. I am Bonnie Krebs, creator of Watercolor the Art Impressions Way, and this week we are going to continue on with our newest releases. I'm going to show you how to put together these little pots. This is called the small container set, and it actually comes with 6. This project I went ahead and used 5, but you can use any of these in any combination. They're super fun. I love these really simple, easy projects, and I hope you like this week's project too. So we're going to use the little container set. We're also going to use a lot of these images from the flower set. In fact, we're using everything but this one right here. And then in the new foliage set, we're going to use this one here. This is the straight vine. And if you don't have the new foliage set, you can also use the vine from the old foliage set. Okay, so let's get started. And we're going to start out by inking the little pots. And I went ahead and just put them on a block just like this. So it's easier for me to stamp them. And I'm just going to stamp them in the sepia. We're going to add some color to them later. So we're going to start out by inking them with a sepia and just get everything. You can do these individually too. I would use a positioner if you're going to put them in a row. But it's so much easier just to put them on a single block if you have a nice long one. Okay, so we'll get these all inked up. We're going to stamp this in the center of our watercolor paper. So just like this. Good firm pressure, but don't mash it into your watercolor paper. Always remember that we have a tendency to just push really hard to make sure we get a good firm image, but it's not really necessary with these. It's better to just get a nice, light, even image. So just press, press, press. Okay, so now we're going to dip our brush in water, pinch it off, and we're going to just pull the color out of the lines. So just kind of follow these lines and drag this color out. It's going to be pretty light. These are pretty small little lines. They don't need a lot of color. So just drag this color out. Make sure you pinch your brush off so you don't get too much water on here. Always remember these are rounded containers, so that means a highlight in the center. I want them to look rounded. Okay, this is so easy to do. Don't stress out over this. All we're doing is just pulling that color out of the lines. This is always our starting point. Remember, you stamp the basic image and then drag the color out of the lines. Okay, so let's go on to the next step, and that is adding the flowers and foliage to the containers. So let's start with this one over here. I'm just going to use a little Post-it note so that I can cover up my image, make sure that I'm not stamping outside of it or over the top, and leave it down just a little bit so that you can see the parameters of the pot here. So edge to edge. It does help to do that. Okay, and I'm going to ink that vine up now, and I'm using the olive green. So I'm just going to ink this, and I only need to stamp it a few times. These are little tiny pots, so just a couple, maybe like 3, maybe 4, and that's good to go. And we're going to take our brush and just dip it. And remember, we're dabbing. So now let's add our little flowers to it. And it's actually this little one. So it looks like a little circle of hearts. We're going to do that one. And I'm using the magenta. And you can use a few of these or you can use them all. Up to you. But it's sort of an up and down motion. And then dip your brush, pinch it off. Don't be afraid to go outside of the container. There's so many different ways that you can add flowers and foliages to these. The sky's the limit, really. Any of these little flowers are going to work. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So we're going to cover a little pot again, just below the line so that we can see where that pot is. And we're going to use this one now. And I'm going to ink it in 2 colors. So this is the number 8 violet. And the number green, olive green. The number 15, excuse me, olive green. And just a couple of times, 1, 2, 3. That'll do it. And then dip your brush, pinch it off. Always pinch it off, especially with these little tiny images. And depending on how detailed, if you like these little images to be more detailed, that's okay. Leave more white space. Just leave more white space in there. Really just touch the image. If you want more of an abstract look, just jump your brush all over and fill that in a little bit more. Don't be afraid to go outside of the lines. Even if you don't have dots out here, just bring your color clear outside. It's okay to do that. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So we're going to use a single flower in here. Again, I'm going to put it just below that line so that I can see where that pot is. So I'm going to use this little one. This is the new long stem that comes in that set. And we only need a few of these as well. So just going to stamp this in 3 or 4 times. And maybe a little bit more to the side. So that looks good. So fast and easy. And then we're just adding the water to it. Simple, just like that. Let's go on to the next one, this one here. Cover that up. And let's do this little guy. So with this one, I'm using the 29 Prussian blue on the blooms. And again, the olive green, so the number 15 on the olive green on the stems. And we're going to stamp this one a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you need to go back and add another couple, you can do that. Leave that little white center in there. It's kind of important. Just kind of go around and just touch these little tiny leaves. You don't have to do a lot to this one. I love these ones that are really, really easy. Okay, let's go on to our last one. So this little guy right here. And we're going to go back to that, that foliage again. So this one. And we're just going to get a bunch of this in there. So a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's ink that again. Get a little more in there. Dip the brush. Pinch it off. Looks pretty good. And let's add our last little flower in there. So we've used everything. So we're going to do this one now. We use this one, this one, this one, this one. So I'm going to ink this one in the magenta. And I just kind of need the top. I don't need the whole thing. And if you want to put your little Post-it note back in here, you can do that. But really, we're just kind of stamping it over the top. And again, dip your brush and just touch all these little areas. Remember, you're adding water to the lines. The lines. Even if they're little details like this, just touch it with your brush. Okay, just like that. Looks pretty good. So now let's go on and add some color to the little pots. And we're going to do that from our palette. So let's put a mix of color on here. It's always kind of fun to mix things up a little bit. This is a steel blue. Let's put a little of this color on here. This is a cooler green. This is a number 72. I love this tropical green. We can put some of this on here. How about some purple? We can do that too. Okay, so let's start by adding some color here. Let's just take a little mix of color. And make sure that your brush isn't too wet. And remember, you're adding the color to the sides first, so the darkest area. And you're going to bring that color over to the center. Just bring that over. Start where it's the darkest, and when it's a rounded container, that darkest area is going to be on the sides, and just keep dragging it over. If you notice your color is getting too dark, just pinch your brush off and drag that color over again. And just keep your brush really dry. And you can just keep, see how much darker this is going? Just keep adding that color in here, just like that. Okay, let's add a different color to that mix. This is that tropical. So let's add some of this now over here. So apply that color where it's the darkest and then drag it over. It's going to be the most natural looking. And remember, this is a process, so you're not going to get the exact color right away. You're going to do it again. And you're going to make sure that that's the darkest on the sides. So this area that's farthest away, that's going to be the darkest. Okay, like so. Let's pick another color here. How about the steel blue? And let's put some of this on here. Love this blue color. And remember, it's the idea of it, so we never want it to be colored in solid anyway. That's going to make the container look really flat. So we don't want that. And we just want to see the idea of the color. Oh, this is a blue pot. Great. It doesn't have to all be colored in solid. Okay, just keep applying that color. It's going to get darker and darker as you go. Okay, let's add a little sepia. And let's just keep this color, this pot here, similar to what we have. Let's put a little more of this color on here. Mix it up a little bit. And one more. Let's make this one bright. You can use your imagination. You can put any color you want on these. So fun to do. Or you can leave them simple too. You can make them all this color, just the same sepia color. That's really fun too. It says your creation, and it's going to be different every time. I don't know how many times I do these things. They're different every time. That's why I'm such a fanatic about signing your work, because this is your creations. And people just love it that you make this for them. Okay, let's put a little detail on there. I always love doing that. It's not hard, but it adds a ton to your image to do that. So take a little contrasting color, and you don't have to do it on all of them. Maybe just a couple. And let's just put a little color on here, just like that. And maybe let's take some of this blue. And it's easy to make a little decorative thing on here. A couple little... And remember, it's the idea of it, so it doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't necessarily have to be completely finished either. Just show the idea. Okay, like that. Let's just add one more detail here over on this one. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so we've got our little pots in here. Let's just do one more thing, and that is drag your brush along the bottom. Just drag your brush along the bottom, and let's pull some of this color out from the bottom and sort of ground these little pots. Make sure they're on the ground, not floating in the air. You can take a little more sepia as well, and you can kind of drag it over this way too, just to get a little extra. If you want to, you can also take some of this color from the pots and drag it over to the center. That'll give you a really nice background. You know, if you like that more abstract look, and you want to kind of blend these colors, you can do that too. It's so fun. Don't be afraid to try these things. You know, this whole thing took me just a few minutes, and that's the whole point of it, is that you can do them quick. And if you're not happy with it, next time try something different. But they really are so fun to do. Okay, one more step, and that is to sign and date. And we are finished. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next week.